Give us our money back, you shameless pensioner-freezing, champagne socialist, heartless hypocrites. That's what we should all be saying to the likes of Labour Minister Liz Kendall. She lives in a £4 million house in Notting Hill. She stripped the elderly of their winter fuel payment so they'll freeze to death this winter. And she's getting the taxpayer to pay the heating bill in her second home. She reportedly got you to pay £3,182 for her energy costs for her constituency home between April 2023 and July this year. Well, poor Liz and her husband live on an estimated combined salary of £760,000 a year. She's the Work and Pensions Secretary. She gets a £67,500 ministerial salary on top of her 91 grand as an MP, reportedly. Her husband is an old Etonian banker and his salary is estimated at £600,000 a year. That's according to various reports. Now, it makes me sick that the Labour Cabinet Minister responsible for frail, lonely, vulnerable pensioners freezing in their own homes is living a life of luxury and she still expects you to pay her bills. In fact, pensioners will be paying her bills because they pay tax. So she's not the only one, though. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, I always get that wrong, invoiced you £4,400 to heat her home. In fact, since 2019, 162 Labour MPs have claimed £425,000 on expenses for home energy use. Energy Secretary, the irony, Ed Miliband's claims also shot up from £650 to £1,100. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson's claims surged from £1,052 to £1,896. In total, 11 Cabinet Ministers claimed more than £12,600 for their gas and electric bills in the first 3 quarters of last year alone. Give us our money back. Give us our money back. In fact, Labour's Liam Byrne reportedly has the highest total of any single MP, with 17 grand's worth of claims in the last 6 years. He voted to cut the winter fuel payment and said that we had to do it to fill the black hole. Rubbish. What black hole? There's no black hole when it comes to illegal immigrants, is there? Labour loves paying for them. 20,000 have arrived since Starmer became Prime Minister. We've got more migrant hotels popping up everywhere.
100 guys from a country which we know did not value women.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the hard... No, I'm sorry. Is there going to be a curfew? Or are they just at 7 o'clock at night, just going to be able to wander around? Is my daughter going to be safe when she goes into Altrincham and has a few drinks? No, is the answer.
We can't lock people up who haven't committed any crimes. We cannot impose on them and restrict their movement if they haven't committed any crimes.
I've got an idea. Why don't old ladies get in a dinghy and come across the channel? Labour will give them everything for free then, wouldn't they? Foreign aid! We'll dish that out. Do you know that Labour sends foreign farmers more than £516 million, but they're hammering farmers in this country in a bid to raise £520 million? If you're foreign, Labour loves you. If you're a poor British pensioner, well, you can just freeze to death. Remember when Starmer said this?
Today, the energy price cap rise has been announced, and that's going to cause real pain for so many households. So many people have said to me, look here, I may not be the hardest up, but I'm going to really struggle to pay these energy bills. I understand, I completely understand, why so many people are frustrated at the government that's not doing anything about their energy bills.
Lie. Bingo. The energy price cap has risen again under Starmer. If he gets a bit cold in Downing Street, he could just go and stay at Chequers, can't he? If he gets a bit cold there, he can stay in his North London home. If he gets a bit cold there, I'm sure Lord Ali will put him up again. Labour might not have a heart, but GB News viewers and listeners certainly do, which is why you have raised, with gift aid, £400,000 for the Friends of the Elderly charity to help pay the energy bills for vulnerable pensioners. Thank you so much, everybody. You can donate at justgiving.com/page/save our seniors. Now, I'm going to be closing that fundraiser tonight at 10:30 p.m. Thank you again, everybody. But think about this. That 400 grand is nowhere near as much money as the reported annual salary of the Work and Pensions Minister and her banker husband, who make you pay their energy bills at their second home. Let's get the thoughts of my panel tonight. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've also got journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth and the former chairman of the Tory party. It's Sir Jake Berry. Carol, should she give us the money back?
Of course she should. You know, I don't understand why she's claiming so much. You know, she doesn't own the house. She has a house in Leicester, because that's where she's been MP since 2010. She doesn't own the house, she rents it, which is no doubt paid as well. And she's spending 340 quid a month. Now, she's probably there a maximum of 2 days a week, because she lives in London, she's a minister, she's doing most of her work here. She has to go to constituency on a Friday. So, OK, so how is that costing £340 a month? The optics of this are outrageous. They're, you know, blazing hypocrites, every single one of these MPs who are doing this. You know, these allowances were brought in to allow people, ordinary people, who weren't rich, who wanted to become MPs, they were brought in to allow them to become MPs. Now it's becoming like the expenses gravy train of, you know, the Tories, the big scandal. They've got to be looked at again. They've got to be looked at, you know, they've got to be counted out what they're spending it on. She doesn't need to claim. I think if we're going to sort this out, they have to be means tested. So someone like her, who was on 700, 800 grand a year salary, will not claim. In the same way, Benjamin would put forward an argument that there are lots of millionaire pensioners in this country, even though there aren't, they might live in houses that are worth that. He would say they shouldn't get the winter fuel allowance. Well, people like Liz Kendall shouldn't get this.
Does Liz Kendall need a bit more champagne with the socialism, Jake, do you think?
Well, something like that. Look, I'm not here to defend the government. What I would say, as a Member of Parliament myself, I claim for heating bills. It is a system that is set up to enable
you
those
didn't want to
who
take the winter fuel payment.
Well, let me come on to that. But it's a system to enable people who aren't necessarily wealthy to enter British politics. That system...
I think I might have just said that.
No, but you did say, didn't you, that it's the expenses scandal of the Tories. It's actually Gordon Brown.
But I did say what you just said. That's what was brought in for.
What makes this different, in her case, is the idea that you have not just her, but hundreds of Labour MPs who have trooped through the division lobbies of the House of Commons to take away the winter fuel allowance from pensioners getting just over 12,000. The MP's base salary, as you say, is 91 grand. You should be able to afford your own heating bill on that. Don't claim it if you're going to vote to see that taken away from other people. As a system, I don't think it's broken, but I do think this government has got hypocrisy written right across it.
I mean, look, Benjamin, I was going to ask how on earth she sleeps at night, but we know, don't we? Nice, cosy and warm.
Well, look, first of all, I think Carol's maths was a bit off. It was probably about £220 a month for the heating cost.
I'm sorry, 340 over 15 months.
Yeah.
That it works out to 340.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
But, and also, it was before she was a government minister for the majority of that time, so she probably was spending more time in Leicester. But look, you know, this is pathetic, quite frankly, as an attempt to criticise. I mean, every MP, unless they're extremely wealthy like Jacob Rees-Mogg, is entitled to their second home, which they only need so they can do the job.
Principle, Benjamin.
No, it's not a principle.
It is
It's a matter of principle. She doesn't need... Her and her husband do not need 3 and a bit grand from the taxpayer to pay for their heating bill.
I think the point is Jacob Rees-Mogg, who is a very personally wealthy individual, I don't think he does claim for his second home. So there are MPs who
morally.
He owns his second home, so that's different to these cases.
But morally.
But no, not at all, because morally, everybody should get the same paying conditions for the same job, quite frankly.
No,
and the fact that she has a husband who has money is irrelevant. Same paying conditions is one thing, not the same expenses. No, that's wrong, OK? The fact is, they pay their own bills, OK? But I tell you...
They don't pay their own bills.
They do pay their own bills. You're misleading the viewers. The house that they live in, the house that they buy, they pay just like everyone else. But when you have to have another home that you have to live in to do your job, that is the employer that pays like any other job.
You don't have to have another home. You don't. You could stay in a hotel. You could rent it.
A lot more.
No, it would not cost.
A hotel.
In Leicester, for her, it would not cost a lot more. I'm sorry. For what she's claiming, you could get a really nice night in a hotel.
Sorry, just to be clear, that a middle-aged woman should spend 14 years so far living in a hotel. Living in a hotel.
What's that
and I tell you what,
you sound like Greg Wallace. What's the matter with you? Middle-aged woman. What's that got to do with it?
Well, I'll get my apology in early in that case. But look, you know, let's look at the people that have been claiming expenses like Lee Anderson, a man that has the audacity to criticise her, and yet he took 17 grand in accommodation prices. He's on £200,000 a year.
He's not living.
And he takes £250,000 in expenses. So why don't you get Lee Anderson on this show
He's not
to explain why he takes more money from the taxpayer?
He's not living in a £4 million
Final word on this, Jake.
He could do on that salary.
This horrible word now, optics. optics, I'm very sorry, I know that irritates people, but the optics of a work and pensions minister standing at the dispatch box saying how it's ridiculous that these pensioners would be getting this kind of benefit, etc., when she is absolutely wadded. And so is Keir Starmer, so is Ed Miliband, so are all these people who are not at all touched by this. And this, right now, literally right now, this second, there will be pensioners at home watching this show, freezing in their living rooms. Is it not a terrible look?
Oh, it's absolutely appalling. It actually speaks to what has gone wrong for the Labour Party since they came to power. Their messaging, the hypocrisy, the fact that, the Chancellor of the Exchequer is Rachel from accounts rather than the crack economist we were told about. They just simply can't get anything right. This is the latest in a string of hypocrisy and scandal, and that is what Keir Starmer's first 150 days in government is going to be remembered for.
Just a little figure for people who want to, if they're not discussed enough, 40,000 terminally ill pensioners have had their winter fuel allowance cut.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking. And actually, you mentioned Keir Starmer's great reset that we're going to get on Thursday, apparently, where he sets out his 5 priorities, none of which are immigration. He had to add that in afterwards because
or growing the economy.
Well, it can't be anymore, can it? Because because we physically can't grow it anymore because of the budget. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. Now, speaking of the weekend, a source close to Liz Kendall said the accommodation cost budget is designed to meet costs incurred by MPs as a result of working from 2 permanent locations. MPs of all parties are entitled to this. They continue paying their utility bills for their own homes like everyone else. And yes, I will stress, there's absolutely no indication whatsoever she's broken any rules or broken the law.
Nope.
It's a moral thing. Just to say as well, that fundraiser is slamming shut. 10:30 p.m. tonight, hopefully, if I can figure out how to close it. I think I can. Anyway, justgiving.com/page/save our seniors. Please give what you can. It's closing tonight at 10:30, almost definitely. And it's time now for our biggest, and greatest Great British giveaway this year, and your chance to win 50 grand in tax-free cash. Labour Minister